using SAS. Remember, this is the same example. We don't have a treatment here. Do you have treatment? No treatment, right? Because it's one sample. I'm just having 4 measures. Lead level at week 0, week 1, week 4, week 6. I'm trying to test whether there is a differences in lead level over time. The way you write SAS code, you use proc GLM, data equal your data name. Model, you're going to put here not one dependent variable, you're going to include each one. 1, 2, 3, 4. So week 0, week 1, week 4, week 6 equal what? Nothing. Just parentheses.
Semicolon.
Semicolon. Because we don't have a treatment. Repeated. These are repeated, correct? So you have to put the statement repeated. Repeated what? This I have to write, which is how I measure them in a week. So I'm gonna put week. And how many measures? I'm gonna put 4. Because how many? 1, 2, 3, 4.
كيف بنفرق يعني ممكن يكون غلط week course.
Huh? Yeah, there is a space. So repeated, this is a SAS keyword. Week, this is the word I give. This is how I measure them. Did I measure them in a month, in a year, or in a week?
SAS يعرف إنه week ولا بس assumption؟
No, you give it.
يعني week it's well known to them إنه week.
لا من الداتا.
لا هذا just في الكودينج انت بتحطها. This is how you measure it.
أي
If you measure a day, then say day.
طيب بس الأساس ما يعرف إنها day
لا اساس ما يعرف. هذه انت تحطيها عشان تطلع لك بعدين الريزلت.
أوكي عشان نكتبها بس.
Yeah. So now /print e for doing the test. So this is the one sample, repeated measures ANOVA. There is no treatment till now involved in here, correct? So we could do it. We have the example of lead. This is how you do it in SPSS. So just for more knowledge for you, how to do it in both. We're gonna also cover that in SPSS. You should get the same result, same finding. Okay. How we explain the finding? In one sample repeated measures, you get 2 outputs. One is called univariate approach, the other one called multivariate approach. So always for the ANOVA test, with simplicity assumptions, you have to look at the univariate approach. Okay? For which output that I must use, so I have 2 outputs here, univariate or multivariate, correct? Which one to use? Then it depends on the simplicity test. Okay? So use multivariate approach if you fail to meet what? The assumption of simplicity. That means you have small p-value of Moshi, right? Small p-value of Moshi. Then you can use the multivariate approach or adjust the degrees of freedom and use green facer test.
degree of freedom يعني كانت نشوف ال SPSS دي اف حتى.
Yeah.
بس ايش الجرين هاوس؟
Okay. So for one sample repeated measures, you're going to see two outputs. One for univariate, the other one for multivariate. Okay? Now the first thing you're going to look at the simplicity test. If it's violated, then you have 2 options. Either to use multivariate approach or to report the p-value for greenhouse case. No? Yes? Simple, right? It's just a logic, right? Now let's do this again. You're gonna get 2 output. One univariate, one multivariate. So you're going to focus first on the univariate,
Univariate.
because the univariate reported the test of simplicity. If it's violated, then you have two options. Either to report the multivariate, which is the second output, or to report the p-value for greenhouse cases. Done.
Or to reverse the
Simple.
value to it, house
وين الجنين house؟
هاي الهاوس افكت هذا.
كله بيحطوك لها في الاس بي اس اس. بحطيكم معاه.
كلام كبير.
We just get started.
ويجيك. استعمل بالله.
Now, this is the univariate approach here. This is what you're going to see. So in univariate approach, we're going to test the assumption of simplicity. So look at the Mushi here. You see Mushi? B value? This is the Mushi value, not the B value. Don't confuse between these. This under Mushi, this is the value of Mushi. And the sig, this is the B value of Mushi, which is the one that I focus on. And if it's small, that means it's violated.
Yeah.
The simplicity. That means I will not report the repeated measure SANOVA B value, the simplicity met. I should report either two options. The finding of multivariate, or report later what is called the greenhouse case. So the next step is,
The big value, the greenhouse one.
yes, to explore the B value for greenhouse spacer or report the multivariate.
Is it this the greenhouse B value?
Yes.
The one other?
No, this is the adjusted degrees of freedom. And again, don't confuse with this. Don't confuse with this value. It is what? The value of Mushi, right? Don't confuse with this value. This is the value of greenhouse spacer. Later, it's gonna report their B value. Okay. Here. So now, the first one, simplicity assumed. What that mean?
The one we need.
That means we don't have an issue in simplicity. That means met. So I'm not gonna report this one because we found there is a violation, correct?
Yes.
In our example, simplicity does not met. So this is I'm gonna cross this the first one. What do you see this greenhouse case? This is the degrees of freedom that adjusted. This is the F. This is what? The B value of greenhouse case. Yes.
هنا simplicity احنا فوق هي اقل من 0.05
نروح لل
هنا ايش معناها؟ ليش مذكوره هنا؟
ضيعت السؤال.
Simplicity. لأن هذه ده التست بتاع الأنوفا repeated measure SANOVA. If it's met, then I use this one.
okay.
If it doesn't met, then I use this one.
هي doesn't mean.
ايوه small.
Met doesn't met. Simple.
اوكي.
زي اللي
Met
في التست.
doesn't met doesn't.
يعني من الفقره اللي قبلها
Yes.
احنا قلنا اصلا it doesn't
Doesn't.
mean.
Yes. Then you go to the greenhouse. Now, so looking at this for the week. So what we conclude here? Why showing week here? Remember in the SAS code, if I put months, it's going to show me a month.
Okay.
If I put day, it's going to show me a day. But I measure it in a week, so this is why it's showing me a week here. So now what I'm my conclusion here now?
هو الاوتبوت شكته في المقام.
It's already
Accuracy
written.
simplicity test assumed not violated, so I will take greenhouse. Should be reported in the result.
Yes. And then
And then
Continue.
the value was like this, and the difference between all of these four reading was
Mean.
2 point.
significant difference.
Sorry.
There is a
2.8.
significant difference. Yeah.
So the first step will do the univariate,
Yes.
then we'll check. After that, we'll go for the adjustment.
Either the multivariate or the greenhouse. Good. Now, multi multi-sample. Before we don't have a treatment effect, right? Now I'm introducing the treatment effect. We still have the same time point. Yes?
No. So why I done it before?
Which one?
The 4 times.
This?
Yes? Okay, whatever. This one. Why I done it without treatment? Following up for what?
Just to show you for one sample scenario. If you don't have a treatment, then you have to use this one.
Why?
equal بس.
You don't have a treatment here. This
And
is
just to
assumption.
see, for example,
Or you have one treatment you give it before the baseline, and then you measure them over time.
Same patient.
The same patient.
for example, tracking, observation, study, or do this.
Yes, sometimes the effective treatment may be vary over time.
Yes.
So let's say that I'm giving, so this scenario, it works. Either you're giving one treatment or you're giving no treatment.
Follow up. Yes.
Yes, do you get this? So let's say that you're giving one treatment at the baseline, which is here. And then taking 4 measures because of this scenario, you may think the effective treatment could happen at any point of time. So now, it's really here, I'm not looking at the effect by treatment, I'm looking at the effect over time, by time. So how, if you get a scenario like this, then this is a one sample scenario.
Okay.
You get that? Now, 2 sample scenario, what happened? I have 2 treatment, not 1 treatment. Or multi, they say multi here. 2 sample or more. So I have 2 treatment. So then, which is, this is in many situations, we will be concerned of differences in a response by treatment, correct? So now this is how you do it. So you will have still one continuous dependent variable that measure over time. You will have 2 factor. Where is the 2 factor here? Before we have 1 factor, which is the time. Now we are in the treatment to it. So now we have the treatment and the time, right? This is the scenario. Is it working for you? No? This is a 2 sample, isn't it? If I have another treatment C, this is a multi-sample with what? 3 samples. If I have CD included, this is a 4 sample, right? So now I'm measuring this over time here. So I have 2 factors. What is my 2 factor? The treatment and the time. Yes, the time is categorical, right? And the treatment also categorical. So now my interest is to see the effect of treatment over time, or to test whether there is a differences in treatment over time.
The interval.
The interval. It can be 4, can be 3, right? Can be 6. Yeah.
يعني الاسيوم راح يكون كل اي دي مع تريتمنت اوفر تايم.
Yes.
طيب بس هذا التريتمنت راح يكون الاسامبشن انه انعطى مره واحده ولا كل مره؟
Treatment. Treatment مرة واحدة independent.
طيب اذا كان انعطى كم مره؟ continuous.
This is a different now.
For example
يعني you switch a treatment.
لا ما في سويتش. مثلا انا بعطي عمال مثلا دراج بلاد بريشر ولا وات اوفر تايم، انا بديت مع العلاج وبشوف الترند حق البلاد بريشر اوفر تايم ولا الكوليسترول ولا الضغط ولا وات كيف يصير؟ ما يرابط طبق على
الافكت على ايش؟ هنا الكوليسترول ليفل؟
يعني انا عندي دراج اي او انترفنشن اي اعطيته
1 دراج 1 1 دراج.
لا 1 2 3
اوكي
شفت كيف؟ واعطيته نمبر 1 الدراج ولا الانترفنشن ماشي مع الايام لانه بياخذ كل يوم الصباح مثلا.
That's fine.
شفت كيف؟ لكن الاختلاف في الافكت حقه في الاسبوع الاول، في الاسبوع الثاني، في الاسبوع الثالث. طيب كيف؟
Same.
اجينست
لا
هذه
against
نستخدم
ايش؟
تريتمنت واحد
لا لا لا
وبعدين تشوف
لا كل هذه both treatment they should be fixed. إذا عندك
Continuous يعني.
إذا عندك A و B you also give it at the same
Continuous.
time. Yes, continuous.
Okay. يعني whether continuous or one
Exactly,
start, one
because you're trying to look at the effective treatment. You may change the dose, right? So you're looking at the effective treatment. Which one works better or faster?
على حسب الدراسة ممكن
Yeah.
I do it one or I see the effect weaning
Yeah.
weaning of the effect so I stop it and I see the treatment.
Yeah. But doesn't mean that you give the treatment at the beginning and then you just watch them.
Doesn't mean
No.
could be go hand
Yeah.
in hand.
You can,
Congruent.
but you don't switch the treatment. Like
Victoria study.
yeah, that's a different cross. What do you call it?
Victoria or the washout time.
What is it called? What is it called? Is
Victoria study.
cross.
Across.
I'm switching treatment. I start with the same patient with A drug and then I switch
To be
them to the
after
V.
washing time.
Yeah.
Washing victim.
What is called? What is
Crossover
called the
study?
Crossover. Yeah.
معلش.
Good.
راح بالي. Crossover.
You need to practice this too.
Hmm?
You need to practice the design, different design. You need to bring examples of different design so you can.
زي
خلينا عندنا وين بارامتر يعني احنا بنجرب مثلا كوليسترول ليفل اونلي صح؟ amount to group.
Yeah.
So
Just
you're
one
five.
parameter بس ما نقدر نحسب شيء ثاني صح؟
في الكروسو.
لا في الإكزامبل هذا.
You could if you're interested in like other like cholesterol level. I can measure blood pressure. I can measure systolic blood pressure. I can.
بس ما حيكون differences based on the treatment.
It is possible. Any measure that related, they can measure it. But at the end, I think you need to limit yourself where your main outcome is. If you say at the beginning, I'm going to measure cholesterol level, then just limit yourself to cholesterol. Yes. You say I'm going to take like 5 measures. Still, you can take 5 measures, but you need to be able how to handle this.
Yes.
Not all patients are can be adhered to.
Follows by four.
It's a larger study, but if you're going to just focus on one measure, I think that would be. Yeah. Break, yes.
First again. شوف
So come.
ها؟
Ten minutes.
أقل لا تقسم نفسك.